What's going on, guys? It's Dropz here. In today's video, I'm going to be trying out the best controller settings. As you guys know, controller settings are pretty popular nowadays, so I'll be rating 3 different YouTubers to see who has the best one. Not everyone can have the best controller settings, so I'm going to be rating each setting based on 3 different topics. The first topic we'll be discussing and rating is aim. Although us controller players already have crazy aim assists, it's still important to make sure you have the right settings. The second topic we'll be rating is editing. Editing is important for controller because you need to have the right sensitivity in order to be consistent. The most important part with editing and finding a good sensitivity is also that crosshair placement. And last but not least, we'll be rating building. Building is just as important as editing because we all want to have those flashy mechanics. So it's another very important topic that we need to be discussing while rating each of these players' settings. Now that you guys know each topic that we'll be discussing, it's finally time to get into the first player. The first player that we'll be rating is a famous YouTuber also known as RealFax. He's a YouTuber with over 850,000 subscribers and frequently makes settings videos. As you guys can see here, this is his channel and his settings videos get over 200,000 views, so they have to be good. So for his settings, starting off, his build mode and edit mode are both set to 2.0. This honestly isn't too bad, but his sense is a little bit higher than mine. So hopefully whenever I try my builds and edits, they still look flashy and smooth. Now going on to his advanced look sensitivity, both of these are also higher than mine, with his horizontal at 42 and his vertical at 42. But I still think it'll be okay because his build and edit mode actually level out with his advanced look sensitivity. And he also has all his boosts set to 0. Now for his aim downsides, or also known as ADS, he has both of them set to 13%. Now I've never tried this out before, so hopefully I'm still able to hit all my shots. Now thankfully he does play on linear, which is way better than having to be on exponential. So that's definitely a good sign when I'm trying out these settings. Now notice his dead zone is actually pretty low. He has his left stick set to the lowest, which is 5%, and his right stick set to 6%. My dead zone has never been this low, but I still believe these settings will be good. Now to start, when testing out the aim, I noticed that the aim was actually pretty good. I was a bit shaky at the start, but then I was finally able to start hitting my shots. It definitely took me a game or two though, so I can get used to it. One thing about using the sensitivity though is I noticed that my shotgun aim was a lot better than my AR aim. I was able to hit so many 200 pumps, but for some reason I wasn't able to hit all of my AR shots like I usually do. So for that reason, I'm gonna rate the aim an 8 out of 10. It wasn't that bad, but I felt like it could be better. Now for the next part of RealFax sensitivity, we're gonna be rating the editing. And honestly, I was able to hit some crazy clips. For some reason, I was feeling like prime booga. All of my edits were consistent, and also I was feeling super smooth. I don't know what it was, but I might have to switch this to my permanent sensitivity. I was hitting some edits I didn't even know I could hit. By far, this has been the best part about this sensitivity. His editing sensitivity was really good, and I would have to give the editing part a 10 out of 10. I really had no complaints when using this setting, and honestly that's super surprising. Now for the last topic, we're gonna be rating building. Now just like the editing, my building was super smooth. I think RealFax may have some of the best settings for your build and edit mode. Now I'm used to a slower build mode, so it kind of did feel a little fast, but that wasn't a big problem because I got used to it pretty quick. My typical build mode sense is set to 1.6 while his is at 2.0. So at the start it was a little uncontrollable, but of course with trying out different settings you have to be consistent with them and try them out for a few games. For the last rating of building, I would have to give it a 9 out of 10. Now overall for RealFax settings, they were pretty good. Now adding up all the ratings, the average came out to a 9 out of 10, which in my opinion is a perfect way to describe all of his sensitivity. Now for player number 2, we're gonna be using Gloomzy Settings. And if you've ever tried to find controller settings, you've probably seen his videos. Just take a look at the amount of settings videos that he's made. He has some videos with over 500k, so they definitely have to be good. The crazy thing is, he used to play on console just like me, but now he plays on PC, so let's see if these settings still work on console. Now going on to his build and edit mode, they're actually different from RealFax's as well. Gloomzy has his build mode set to 2.0 while he has his edit mode set to 2.1. Not that far off, but there is a slight difference. Now going on to his advanced look sensitivity, he has his horizontal speed set to 43% while his look vertical is set to 43% as well. He has all of his boosts turned off, so let's see how that plays out. Now Gloomzy is known for his crazy aim, so he has his ADS look horizontal to 12% and his ADS look vertical to 12%. I've seen some of his clips and honestly it looks like he has aimbot. Thankfully he also plays on linear, but the next player that we're going to be trying is actually going to be on exponential. His dead zone is pretty weird because he has his left stick set to 10% while his right stick is set to 8%. Both of mine are set to 8%, but I've never had one dead zone set higher than the other. They've always both been set equally. Now first we're going to be rating the aim. And honestly, when first trying this out, I had no problems at all. To be honest, it even felt like I had a zen. Just take a look at this clip. I mean, yeah, it literally felt like I locked straight onto his head. My SMG aim was going crazy and I wasn't missing a single shot at all. Maybe it was the aim assist, but I don't know, this was kind of crazy. Everything about the sensitivity felt amazing for the aim, and not only was my SMG aim crazy, but also my shotgun aim. I had to make sure I wasn't cheating because for some reason I wouldn't miss at all. No matter what weapon is in my hand, I was always hitting headshots. So my rating for the aim would have to be a 10 out of 10. Everything was literally perfect. Now for number 2, we're going to be rating editing. Now for editing, I was pretty consistent, but for some reason my crosshair placement was a little bit off. I would hit my edits for the most part, but then sometimes I would be inconsistent. The editing sense also felt a little too quick for me. Now that doesn't mean that it was bad, it just wasn't for me. I guess I could say that it was a little too fast for me to control, but all it took was a few games in order for me to get used to it. So overall, I wasn't too bad, but it wasn't also too good. So for the edit speed, I'd have to give it a rating of 8 out of 10, which I would say is pretty fair. Now for the last rating, which is going to be the building sensitivity. This honestly felt a lot better than the edit sensitivity. My builds felt a lot smoother, but most importantly, I was very consistent. Not only did I feel flashy, but also smooth. I'm on console, but I literally felt like I was really face sway on PC. I couldn't tell if it was just me or it was because I had this Ice Spice skin on. But for some reason, this building sensitivity felt so amazing. I didn't even have to warm up, I was already feeling cracked. So for the building rating, I'd have to give it an 8 out of 10. Now as you can see on the screen, here are all the ratings for Gloomzy Settings. The average rating came out to around an 8.6 out of 10. Now going on to the next player settings, these are going to be a little different. And this player goes by the name of Jarvy. Jarvy's another Fortnite player who does settings, but the crazy thing is he has 2 YouTube channels with over 100k. So let's get right into the settings. As you can see here, his build mode and edit mode are the highest out of any of the player's settings. His build mode is set to 2.1 while his edit mode is set to 2.2. Not gonna lie, this may be kind of hard to control. Now while both of those settings were the highest, his look horizontal and look vertical speed are actually the lowest. Both of them are set to 36%, which I guess could even out the build and edit mode pretty good. And he has all of his boost off, but one thing that's different is he has instant boost when building on. Now this is a setting that I've never used before, so this is going to be completely different. Now onto his aim down sights, are also known as ADS. He has both of them set to 10%. Now while these are pretty low, that means that he has his boost to 2%, which makes it go higher. These settings are kind of all over the place, so I'm definitely gonna have to give this a few tries. Now while all these settings are weird, it actually gets worse because he plays on an exponential. I've never played on an exponential my whole time while playing Fortnite, so this is going to be so different. And typically I like to set my dead zone a little low, but he has his left stick set to 11% and his right stick set to 10%. So I'm just going to hope for the best while I use these settings. First, for Jarvy, we're going to be rating the aim. Jarvy is also known for having some crazy aim, especially because he's on exponential. Just like Gloomzy's, I don't know why, but it literally felt like I almost had an aimbot. It didn't feel real at all. My SMG was just locking onto any opponent that came my way. So for the aim part, honestly, it was really good. Jarvy's aim settings would have to be rated a 10 out of 10 for me. Now for number 2, we're going to be rating his editing sensitivity. And honestly, this was probably my least favorite setting out of all the ones I've tried. I felt super stiff, and I think that was just because it was on exponential. I couldn't get the hang of it, and honestly, I didn't enjoy being on these settings. It felt like I was literally playing with 10-pound dumbbells on my fingers. Whenever I would go to edit, it felt so stiff and heavy for some reason. So for the edit part of Jarvy's settings, I'd have to give it a 7 out of 10. And now for the last topic, we're going to be discussing building. And just like the editing, I honestly didn't like the building at all. It felt just a little better, but I couldn't really tell. Exponential just was really holding me back, and it wasn't my personal preference. Some of my builds, I couldn't even fully move correctly, and my joysticks are pretty hard to get through. The higher dead zone and higher build mode and edit mode didn't mix too well with the exponential. So for the final rating of all these settings, I would have to give the building a 7 out of 10. As you can see on the screen, here are all of Jarvy's ratings. The average rating came out to an 8 out of 10. After rating all of these players' settings, I would have to say that Gloomzy came out as the winner. He had an even balance between all of his settings, which is so easy for me to use. Now that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for all support, and if you made it to the end of this video, make sure you comment down below console. And also, don't forget to use my supporter credit code Dropz in the Fortnite item shop. This is the best way to support me, and it's actually super easy to do. That's it for today's video, and I'll see you guys in the next.